sharing on Facebook. I'll start that whole process. And
are we on live or no?
We will be shortly. We will be very shortly.
Is someone else that is asking questions to us or not?
Not really, but you know, like I haven't necessarily opened it up for questions. If something comes up and I think that it's interesting, I'll ask it, but normally it's all pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sorry because my English is not that bad.
Arianna, you are perfectly fine, honestly. Your English is perfect. So it's almost there.
Yeah.
And, you know, for you, Andrea, obviously we're going to talk about a little bit about your story that was written up there. So we'll just, you know, we'll go with the flow.
Yeah, we hope to remember everything.
You've got the sheet anyway. Yeah. And you don't have to, like, you know, it's not like you have to say every single thing. It's like you're prepared for this, you know. And, you know, like, obviously, you know, you went through this. This is your story.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm a little bit like...
No.
It's the panic before the...
No, don't panic. No panic. No panic. So we will, I'll put with special guest. So we'll get started. I'm going to share very soon and I'll introduce the session and then I'll open it up for you. Okay. All right, let's do this. It's always lovely when Facebook tells me that it's sharing live and I'll check. I always check. And I know that people have to go through me actually checking as we go along, but that is just how this goes. All right, so we are on and we're live and it's wonderful. And we've had a little bit of a tech, you know, sprucing up situation. And, but we're here, which is good. And today I'm actually going to be coming in and doing a few different creation stories, which is super exciting. And they're all completely different to each other, which is even more wonderful. But I am so privileged right now to be joined by this beautiful, beautiful couple. I mean, look at these gorgeous people. Oh. And to share, you know, this amazing story, because I really think your story is such a wonderful, inspiring, you know, situation, that everything that you guys have gone through. And clearly we can see that there's been a good result and a good outcome at the end of it by the little noises in the background. Andrea, you do what you need to do. You can grab her later. It's not a problem. Whatever she wants to do is perfectly fine by us. And it's just lovely, you know, to be able to have you guys come in. I know that, you know, all of the things that we have been through together on this journey. So it's wonderful to be able to come full circle into this conversation. So Arianna, I would love for you to tell us, you know, a little bit more about how it all kind of happened for you guys.
Okay, first of all, we should say that it's a pleasure for us being here, 2021, speaking with you with a baby. Because I can't believe that, really, it's a miracle, and it's also thanks to you. So we are so happy and excited right now to share our story. So our story actually started as soon as we married in 2013, when we, of course, started trying to work on it, so trying to conceive. But we hadn't success for like a few months. So then, of course, we started investigating in Italy. So we are Italian, and we started doing our fertility journey in our own country before coming, of course, here in Australia. And in Italy, we have been tested with very simple tests, nothing comparing with what we did with you. Yeah. And of course, after these few tests, we have been told that we were just like needed to relax. And we needed probably a holiday in order to have a child, because we were so stressed. And when I tried to explain them that I was not feeling well because I had an endometriosis, and they were treating me like a crazy woman. I was just imagining having this kind of issue. They were just like, it was just my period, nothing else. So it was not, the fact that we were not conceiving was not related to that. So we have been treated like we were actually just crazy, and we didn't have any.
And it's so hard, isn't it? It's such a hard thing when you're going through the fertility journey and you just keep getting dismissed, isn't it? Like you obviously you understand your body, you understand what's going on for you, and you know that it's not exactly normal, but you just keep being told like, oh yeah, it's normal, it's how it should be, and you know, you're not really given a proper insight. Well, first of all, proper insight into what's happening for you, but also actually investigate it effectively. And I think that that's really quite a difficult thing to go through in its own right when you're trying to conceive and not getting pregnant. So I can imagine how hard that was for you.
No, it was so hard. Also because I started my very first period when I was 13. And since that, I ended up in the hospital for a week, every single time that I had a period with terrible pain. Exactly, wow. I can tell you right now, after I delivered a baby, exactly the same pain of the labor every single month. So, and they treat me like I was crazy. And they just told me, oh, look, when you will have your baby, these pains are going to disappear. And so, of course, I just...
Yeah, I'm like, I need to have this baby now.
Yes, exactly. I just lived all my life wishing to have a baby. Of course, not just to remove my pain, but because I dreamt to have a baby since I was a child, okay? So my dream of becoming a mom, it was really accompanying me for all entire life. Plus, also, honestly, I wish to have a baby also to remove.
Oh, gotcha. I would. I'd be like, okay, can I just like right now?
So, and of course, we started trying, and we seen that we were not going to be pregnant. So I was started being a little bit frustrated because, of course, I still had my pains, but at the same time, no one was helping us. Also, Andrea started investigating a little bit his side, but he was not treated like the main.
So the thing is that back to our country, is often the female aspect is more looked at rather than looking at the semen analysis.
The issue is that happens, unfortunately, everywhere in the world. You know, the problem, I think, in many cases, especially, I mean, initially I can understand that there is also the male ego that, you know, needs to be protected at all costs. But unfortunately, I think this is something that happens all around the world, is that infertility is treated majorly as a female problem, despite the fact that it is a 50-50 equation, and despite the fact that there is so much that both partners need to do, as you guys know now, to improve your chances of having a baby. So I get that for you, Andrea. How did it make you feel, like, to just be told, oh yeah, there's nothing you can do, you know, all of that?
Well, in the beginning, of course, maternity is something that is a little bit external to a male. So not having received any kind of concern from the very first wave of tests didn't open up a real, I would say, big question mark in my mind. But as soon as we went on trying to conceive year by year, month by month, unfortunately, cry by cry on a monthly basis, this started building up the, I would say, the doubt. So both of ours are competitive players, tennis players. Arianna has been a pro, near the pro. So we are very in touch with our gut. So we know exactly what was going on. And that was absolutely reflected into what we were going on. And the thing was that we felt left alone with this first wave of feedbacks. Then we started embracing other kind of, I would say, approaches, and then we landed to the IVF. Honestly, I wasn't that into it. I didn't really like to have an external interference.
Not a natural one.
No, I didn't feel it was natural. And I've got 10,000 of question mark as I'm Catholic. We are Catholic. Of course, this opened up a lot of questions. But this is personal, okay? But our end goal was to have a family and be happy all together. And this wasn't happening.
Yeah, and I should say that it's really thanks to you and the fact that we jump into your program that finally I brought on board my husband, because since then, yes, he was into this thing, but not really. He was not like
into this thing of being healthy, but not really.
No. I mean, these things of trying to do as much as possible to have a baby, because as he's already said, he was not happy to approach this journey with an artificial system like the IVF. So he was not really aware the fact that it could also be the problem. It was not just me with my endometriosis and my issue, but it was probably part of the same problem too. So as soon as we jump into your program, thanks to everything.
No, but before that, you guys had done what? Was it 2 ICSI cycles?
Yes, we have.
So basically there was through the testing, we found out that there was some issues with the sperm. Is that right? So we had, do you want to talk a little bit about what was found beforehand?
Well, yeah, there was. Okay, someone was right.
Adeline, tell us how you really feel.
So it was a bit upset, like I can't deny that. So there were a couple. The main 2 were a little bit a huge DNA fragmentation and the slackness of the sperm. Yeah. And, honestly, that has been one of the gauge factors that brought in the conception of our special guest. And it has been pretty intense because it was something that we were working hard on, but at the same stage before landing in your program, it wasn't completely addressed. Yes, we have been given some I would say integrator, stuff like that, but vitamins, not really anything that was paying any dividend towards that, because
also because we have been told that there were not treatment, they didn't know what was causing that.
Exactly, and that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, the second that a couple or a man gets diagnosed with DNA fragmentation, it's like there's nothing you can do. Well, actually, there is so much you can do. You know, sperm count and motility, morphology. There are so many things that can be addressed by putting in the right strategy. But it often is a disregarded situation.
Yeah, the only thing that was sure that they say to us that it was that with this kind of DNA fermentation, we didn't have any chance actually, even with the IVF. So this is why we also did the ICSI rather than the IVF, because our chance were really, really low. He was in his DNA fragmentation level was really, really severe. Bad. So, of course, we were following our medical
advice,
because we didn't have any other chance. No one else told us what you did during the program, for example. So, of course, we trust them and we jump into the ICSI and with lots of hope. And, of course, at the beginning, we were quite happy because you have started a new journey and
you're doing something. It feels, I think that to a huge extent, it just feels good to be doing something when you've been trying for a long time and it hasn't worked. But sometimes it's kind of like, well, doing something versus doing the right thing are 2 very different things, as obviously you guys can attest to.
Yes, absolutely. So we did the 2 ICSI, but of course they failed. The very first one failed completely. I didn't even go through the eggs collection because they found a polyp in my utero, and then the eggs were not enough. to do a collection. So of course we canceled the collection, and can you imagine how was I feeling?
That was a big blow.
Arianna, one thing I know about you is that you feel.
Yes, exactly. I feel.
You feel, my friend. You feel, and so I can imagine. And you're Italian, so you know.
Sorry. The dream of becoming a mom, and especially to remove the pain.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Look, I cannot fault you, to any degree whatsoever, because it's exactly what you're talking about. It's such a huge journey. You want this more than anything else in the world, and then obviously you're going through such a challenge. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the second ICSI, it was I can't probably say a failure, because of course we ended up with a pregnancy, but at the end was a failure because we had a miscarriage. Actually, we had just one only embryo, because they have been able to collect 15 eggs, but at the end I just got one embryo, and we had to frozen this embryo because I had other few issues like the papillomavirus, and they found me something else. So they had to do surgery. Actually, in that year, I did like 5 surgery with the total anesthetic, and it was not pleasant at all.
Wow.
Also,
and it's really interesting too, like in terms of your specific situation, one of the things that brings, it kind of shines a light to your experience, which is the experience of so many people trying to get pregnant, which is this whole idea that, you're going to go and do ICSI or IVF or whatever it is, and it's going to work. But the reality is the male factor hasn't been addressed at all by this point or at this stage. And so what happens is you end up with 15 eggs, but then you end up with very low fertilization because the obstacles to optimum fertility are still unaddressed in both prospective partners, both prospective parents. So that adds that whole, and then of course, you're told it's a numbers game, keep going, let's just do the same again and again and again, and we end up with the same result, which is very unfortunate for many people out there. And lucky for you guys that you kind of thought about this and you went, hang on, this is not working for us. So
we have to say that of course we have been lucky because we moved here in Australia, and since we moved, we finally have been treated a little bit better than when we were in Italy. But as you say, still not enough, because they were just treating my part, not Andrea's one, for example. They did lots of things with me, like I did a laparoscopy to remove the endometriosis. They tried to unblock my tubes because my fallopian tubes were blocked, but without success. So many things on my side, but nothing with Andrea. And of course, even the things with my side were not probably enough, because we found out with you and your program that there were many other things and so many things to do in order to improve the situation. So yeah, I think it's really, how can I say, it's really, from a medical perspective, I'm sorry to say that, but the research on this topic is really poor. There's not enough research, probably. They are just stopping to the evidence, telling you like, I'm sorry guys, you can't, because you have this, you have that, and we have tried some supplement, we have tried to the IVF, so your only option is again going again with another IVF cycle, another one, but the problem is that also those things are costing money, they are not cheap.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, probably it's my, I would say, background. Nice. It's that the male factor was completely left off the equation. So Albert Einstein was used to say it's kind of crazy to pretend to reiterate the same process and pretend to have a different result without changing anything. Yeah. So and this is of course thinking about what's happened after what all we have been through, that that doesn't work, or it can work in some cases, not
yeah. Well, that's why IVF has a 30% success rate, and it worked because ultimately it's kind of trying to work on the surface of the things that are kind of common and that you can address with, like, if you're trying to create a work of art and you come in with a bulldozer, the fine detail is going to probably be missing, let's put it that way, right? You've got to have the right tool for the job, or else we end up with a situation where, well, we might hit and we might miss, and often we miss. So, it's definitely a very interesting situation for a lot of people, unfortunately. But it's certainly what you're talking about is very true. It's the idea that, okay, well, if we are not looking at all of the things that we can and we're just being told, let's just do it again, the very, very likely thing that happens in those instances is that we keep trying again and again and again and again. But the problem, like I always show, is the diagram of the journey to parenthood. We keep trying again here, going around in circles. And most couples, unfortunately, run out of time here, going around in circles.
That's the other problem.
So,
as opposed to absolutely.
The other thing we have to say is that yes, definitely we were not that young when we started that journey, so we don't feel old, but definitely right now we entered to a different stage of life. Let's
not talk about old. No.
Okay.
Yeah, but I hear you, absolutely. And then, so how did you find out that, okay, we need to do something different? Like what happened, after?
When we had the miscarriage, and then we had another bad news after 10 days, and I had to go through another surgery. I think that was our lowest moment in our fertility journey, because I started having a very bad depression. And we were struggling also as a couple in our relationship, because how hard it is. And this is another thing that I really appreciate in your program, the fact that you are also treating us as a team and a couple, and you are also treating that aspect, not just the physical one. And also I really appreciate the mental support that I had from the psychologist, because she actually treated my mental depression. And I had been able to came out from that depression. Thanks again to the support that you gave us. So as I said, it was our probably worst time in our fertility journey. And we were thinking what were all our other options, because we didn't have so many. We didn't have money enough to for another IVF cycle. We were not citizens yet in order to adopt a baby, because to adopt a baby, you have to be at least one of the two in the couple should be citizens. So we have been left with just the option of trying fostering. But when I started browsing, I don't know why, probably because I was still convinced that one day maybe I could be a mom. I was browsing a lot about fertility, other kind of fertility solution. I just popped by chance on Facebook onto your challenge, the 14 days fertility challenge. And of course I started browsing and reading what was and what you were proposing. And I can tell you that, of course, at the very beginning, I and both of us were really skeptical, not about what you were telling, but about the fact that you were on Facebook.
It's like, oh my God, how is that possible? I know.
You never know where you are landing with things that you find on internet. So
yes.
Yeah,
it's a scam. It's a scam. It has got to be a scam. Like, oh my God, if I got $1 for every time I hear it's a scam, I'd be like, I don't need to work anymore.
So at the very beginning, of course, we started following your challenge because it was really interesting, not just about the information that you were giving us every day, because actually everything was completely new. We were like learning things that no one ever said to us about how we could improve our fertility, and not just my side, but also the male side. So that was really interesting. But also the way you ran the challenge was really appealing. And we were so, I don't know, how can I say?
I would say we embarked because we have seen an opportunity at the same stage. The way the fertility challenge and all the program was set was really interesting. At the same stage, it was really fitting for us.
And demanding, because you were demanding to us and all of us, all the people that were participating, to doing things actually. Not just like
absolutely.
reading, but also
I don't just, you know, as you guys know, I'm not about sitting down and just, you know, waiting for the world to come to you.
No, you
so
have to work on it. So
you
this
do.
was really interesting, and it captures our attention. Of course, we did a bit of research on you, on what you were saying, because as we were still skeptical that it could be a scam, we had to research a little bit, okay?
Yeah, I agree. And I think, you know, that's the one thing people must do, because you have to, whatever it is that you're doing, I mean, think about it, right? You can only really get behind something and believe that you're going to put your effort, energy, time, energy, money, all of those things, if you can feel that there is something in there that resonates with you, and that you can feel that, okay, well, you know what? This kind of sounds right to me, and it has to be that. And you've got to do your research to figure it out for sure.
Then when we had done our research, we talked to each other and say what we had to lose. As she said, you should not leave any stone unturned. This is your
It is. And you know what? It's so interesting, because that was actually one of my patients, one of the patients in the clinic that literally came to me one day and said, Gabriella, you know, I don't even want to have a baby. I'm like, what? I'm like, this is the wrong service for you then. She goes, no. The thing is that I just want to know that I have left nothing to chance and no stone unturned. And I'm like, okay, that speaks to me. You know, that makes sense to me. But it was quite a funny conversation, because I didn't want to take this lady on the program. And when she said to me that she didn't want to have a baby, I'm like, okay, I definitely now understand why, you know, I don't want to take you on the program. You're clearly crazy. And her and I laugh about this now, right? Because obviously she also went on and had a beautiful baby and everything else, but we laugh about it now. But every time that I think about it, and of course now it has become very much, you know, how we describe what it is that we do, because that's exactly what we focus on.
Sorry.
No, that's all right.
So we decided to try and give us our probably last chance, because we were probably considering what you were proposing, our last chance. And it was actually quite interesting, because what you were proposing and you are proposing, it's not just something that is just helping you through your fertility journey, but it's something anyway healthy. So you don't have nothing to lose. You are not selling like weird things or like scamming us for like weird things. You are just proposing really good things that also can change your life in general, not just about the fertility journey, your health, your mental health, everything. So we decided, okay, why not? We don't have anything to lose. As you say, we should not leave any stones unturned. So let's try. We have been lucky because, of course, you gave us a chance. We had an interview with you, and you decided that we were probably good as patients because we had all the criteria.
Yeah, we do have. Well, that's the thing, right? It's the fact is, and a lot of people. It's really interesting, especially because we do this, you know, obviously we have a big reach through Facebook and everything else. And people think that they can just come and pay the money and they can do the program. And it's like, actually, no, that's not how it works. We assess every case. You know, I personally assess every case to make sure that we can help, you know, because the last thing I want to do is I don't want to offer a place in the program to somebody who I don't think we can help,
really
or
100%.
who's not ready to do the work, you know, as a couple.
Also because we were not ready. We didn't know what we were going to face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to disclose any detail, but definitely the first week of the program had been
shock.
Intense.
But you know, look, let's be fair, because I think that, you know, this is important for people to understand, which is nothing we ask of people is superhuman, right? But the reality is that for a lot of people, it's a different way of thinking about how you optimize fertility. You know, like I think that's the really big thing, is because the model, the medical model is here, you pay the money, you inject yourself, and, you know, they come in for your egg collection, then you come in for your embryo, you know, transfer.
No.
Yeah.
That's
you
the
have
usual.
You have to do the hard work.
Yeah.
That's right. So he's different.
Yeah. Actually, I should add something, because for the first time in our fertility journey, as I already said before, Andrea was on board with me. He was happy. Actually, he was the one that pushed me to approach you and approach the challenge and following the challenge. Because of course, you know how desperate we could be when we wish to have a child. So you are ready to do everything, okay? When we did the ICSI cycles, probably was more me, the one that was pushing to, you know, have these kind of things done. Andrea was the one that was not happy because it was artificial, not natural, and blah blah blah. Then we had the opposite situation. Andrea finally was happy because it was natural. Everything was not like impacting our Catholic belief or
Yeah.
So I was so happy because finally there was someone caring for the male part, and also
absolutely. And by the time, so Arianna, just so that I know, so basically just remind me again, by the time you went to ICSI, how long had you been trying to conceive?
Sorry, can you repeat what you just
said?
said?
By the time you went to ICSI, how long were you trying to conceive? So you were trying to conceive for
4 years. 4 years before
4 years.
We started the program.
Before you started ICSI. No, before you started.
No. Sorry.
Right.
Before we started ICSI was probably 1.5 to 2 years.
Okay. So 2 years to ICSI and then another 2 years to starting with us. So by the time you started with us, you were trying to get pregnant for 4 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then we started, and of course, as we said, we were really not prepared for what was expected.
But we hold your hand through the process, so that's, you know.
Well, the one thing that other than being blessed to become parent of Adeline, is the best thing is it's not just the health that you get out of it, but it's also the relationship that you develop with your half. So that has been really, I would say, amazing how we bonded, how we challenged ourselves to the next, through all the various milestones, but also setback, because the program, it does work, but so I'm an engineer.
Up and downs during the track.
During the program,
absolutely,
some tests, and they are not always positive. Yes, it's not a straight line.
I think
I
think the Ellison remember really well our up and downs.
That's it. Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, we all do, Arianna. We all do. But the thing about it is that, you know, it's exactly what you just said. You know, Andrea, it's not a direct line, and this is one of the things that I say to my patients all the time. But what you've touched on, which is beautiful to me, and one of the most important things of, in my opinion, what we do, is one of the 11 pillars of fertility, which is part of the 7-step fertile method that I've developed, is family foundation. You know, we know that a huge percentage, 78.15% of our patients will take home live babies. And so what we're doing in this process, and also we know that it doesn't happen overnight. So what we're doing in this process is preparing you for a solid family foundation. Because I've realized, you know, 10 years into doing what I do, that, you know, I don't do this to bring another baby into the world. I actually do this because one of my highest values is family. And I want to create and help to develop beautiful, healthy families that are connected and that, you know, are here for the long term. The last possible thing, and fertility journeys are very challenging and very difficult for the relationship, like you both have said. So if we don't have ways of really supporting the individual and the relationship, you can have a baby in a broken marriage later down the track, or in a broken relationship.
This is what I appreciate the most, the fact that from the very first day you have all the participants to be a team.
Yeah.
I mean, to jump in the program as a team, otherwise you were not going to accept them. And this was actually really good, because that does mean that it's from the very beginning, you start to build a strong relation with your partner, even if you have issues, because of course we have been through so many hard times, and our relation was strong, but not enough in that moment, because of course you know how much you are suffering and crying and discussing and arguing. So we really appreciate so many aspects of what you have done in the program, like for example the Gottman program.
Science and Art of Love.
Helped us, that helped a lot, and even right now sometimes we are still going back
teasing each other,
teasing each other with what the Gottman was saying about.
Yeah, so this is to add I would say the cameo on top of it is just the level of attention to the details you put through the program. So it starts with a solid scientific approach, but then through the not straight line process, you are looking at every single ripple within the couple, because in the end, what has to withstand the difficulties is the team, is the family. So
absolutely.
This is what I loved, and I found that it was really a game changer. So I felt really connected, even though I challenged myself. So you throw me everything I could have done. So normally you're like asking people to start exercising, and to me you said, "Oh, you know what?
You need to slow down.
Probably you don't have to ride anymore, to run, to play tennis." So what the hell on earth?
Exactly. That's what you get for dealing with, you know, competitive tennis players, you know. So, and I remember very well when we were having this conversation in the very beginning, it's like, okay, guys, you need to realize that we're going to need to step this down a notch, right? And you're like, what? So yeah, it was quite a fascinating experience. But yeah, look, I think that, you know, you guys, and one of the things that I will say, as you know, I was the clinical director at the time. Now I'm the program director, and we have Alison as the clinical director. But you know, I have to say that
Gabriela, we can't hear you properly. The volume is just going low.
Very odd.
Really low.
Okay, I might change my back screen. Let me just give me 1 second. See if I can do this. 1 second. Hopefully that will have fixed the issue. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you very, very low.
Oh, that's odd. Can you maybe turn up your volume? Because my
Yeah, this is what I've already. Just a second.
Let me try to put the headset on.
Yeah, maybe your you know what might be? It might be your phone battery. Might be low.
No, it's still on.
No? Okay,
Plenty.
no worries. Well, if you can hear me anyway, we'll just...
Okay, now we can hear you back again.
Ah, there you go. Luckily.
Okay.
Very good. And in fact, if people are watching live, it'd be great to know if everyone can hear us. Otherwise, let us know in the comments, actually, if you can hear us, and that's all good. But going back to our little conversation. So, you know, obviously, long story short, fast forward to the fact that, you know, you guys did the work. It was a decidedly interesting journey on all parameters, because, you know, for us too, obviously, we want to make sure that we are supporting you and guiding you and doing and helping you to have these epiphanies and to have these changes. But also, let's say that, you know, we're dealing with individuals and people have different ways of responding to things. And like we said before, Arianna feels.
and I get very angry.
You know, Arianna has lots of feelings, and which is, you know, like, look, it's normal. I think going through this particular journey, it can be very, very challenging, you know, and to be able to keep your cool at every moment is impossible. It's impossible. But learning strategies and learning how to deal with the challenges as we face them, I think is such an important thing. And, you know, you did the work, you came to the emotional support sessions, and you came to book club, and you know, so all of those pieces obviously supported and helped to get a different outlook. Obviously having, you know, our emotional support team, the psychologists, you know, all of those things really also provided a different avenue for a different outlook, and that's wonderful. And then, of course, you know, we decided that it was time to start trying to get pregnant. So tell me more about that.
But okay, I should say that Andrea already mentioned you that it was, I mean, we were so happy to be in part of the program, but of course we were personally struggling with few things. Andrea more with the fact that he couldn't like ride his bike and do his Ironman and triathlon. I was the one struggling a lot with the food. A lot. Also because we are Italian. Can you imagine what does mean for us not eating?
I remember every conversation. How is it that you're not letting me eat pasta every day? How dare you?
So, of course, we had many hard moments, but at the same time, during the journey, we were like actually finally seeing improvements. Because when we started trying to conceive, and we finally got the green light from Helison, that probably had lots of patience with us, we were already achieving many things. Because, for example, my pain from my period completely disappeared.
Yeah, exactly, and that actually is
and that was thanks to the supplement and the diet and everything. And I should say probably also thanks to the herb solution, the one that you tested also.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I make them specially delicious, but especially for my special patients.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then I was able finally to have my fallopian tubes unblocked, because we did a flushing suggested by Helison. We did many things, and everything was finally coming up with a very good result. And Andrea's situation, that was the most shocking, positively shocking, of course, because his DNA fragmentation slowly, like went completely on the other side. And finally, we reached
having heroic sperm, Andrea.
Yeah, his sperm was really good. And also, we reached the level where we have been told that we could even have chance naturally, not just with the IVF. So it was really amazing. Of course, it took times. It took lots of sacrifices, hard work.
Took 18 months of time of working through everything, you know, like, and this is the thing that I say this to patients all the time. It's like, if you come to us expecting that you're going to be pregnant tomorrow, just don't even, right? Because it's not going to happen. But one thing I can say is that the changes that we are able, and, you know, there will be other couples that will tell their story who have gone through, done all of the things that they need to do. And then, of course, they're able to conceive not only their first child, but their second, their third, their fourth, very easily afterwards. Because why? Once you've addressed all of the major minor factors and the multitude of things that are getting in the way, which takes time, because that's how biochemistry works. You can't hack biology. It's just, you know, you can't, you can do as much about the fact that a pregnancy is 9 months long as you can about how long it takes for the egg to mature and the sperm to form, which is 0. You can't change the fact that a healthy gestation is 9 months. So we know for a fact that for our patients, it takes between 16 to 36 months from beginning to baby, keeping in mind that we have a 9-month pregnancy included in there and approximately about 4 months of preparation by the time we get all of the tests and we start to see the results and we start to see that it's actually the things that we find aren't going to be directly linked to miscarriage and implantation failure. You know, those things do take a bit of time, but if we do the work systematically, methodically, it's highly effective, you know, as you guys can attest to. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I remember how hard it was because, of course, you have to do some preparation, as you said. You can't just start and like conceiving like that because there are many hormone levels that are not okay and many sperm cycles that need to improve before you can finally start conceiving. So I remember that I was leaving that period with a very big frustration because we couldn't even try. We were working so hard, but we didn't even like receive the green light to start conceiving. So it was also hard for that reason.
Let's put it that way. It's just getting a lot of training without having any competition at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Tennis players, you should be used to that.
Yeah, I remember the day that Helison finally gave us the green light. We were so happy because we said, okay, finally
we can try now. Yay!
Yeah, and yeah, it has been amazing because I remember, of course, when I started having few symptoms of the pregnancy, and I didn't know yet. When I took the test, I couldn't believe myself. Because after so many years, so many struggles, and of course the hard work that paid off, we were over the moon. And yeah.
And of course, you ended up conceiving naturally after all
yes,
of
naturally.
that.
That was actually really like unexpected. I mean, we worked for that really hard.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
If we step back at the very beginning, we couldn't even think of having a natural baby because everyone told us that we didn't even have chance with the IVF. So we were not thinking at all about having that naturally. Yeah. So,
and I remember that initial conversation that we had, you know, in the initial conversation we had, I remember so clearly because I was saying to you, like, you were like, how quickly till we can go and do our next ICSI cycle? I'm like, let's take a step back. Let's just put into the consideration that maybe you don't need IVF or ICSI at all. Maybe it's possible that you could conceive.
Yeah, this
naturally.
is why Andrea.
That's never happened. No, that's never going to happen. That didn't happen. It's never going to happen. No, look, I just want to know how quickly can I start on ICSI and IVF. I'm like, look, let's do the work first, shall we? I remember though, that conversation was so funny to me because this happens very frequently where I talk to people because I'm assessing the case, right? So I'm assessing the case and I'm looking at, okay, what are the things that I can see that are patterns that I've seen before? What are the types of things that I've seen change before? You know, and even in your case where we had blocked fallopian tubes, I'm like, okay, well, maybe there's a possibility given the fact that there were things that I knew we could still try that hadn't been tried before. I thought, maybe there's still a chance that this could happen. And of course, I came to that conversation with all of these things in mind, knowing that, okay, well, I had seen this before. We've done this kind of work before. You know, we've done it before in a similar set of circumstances. So it's possible that it could happen again, right? As it's happened many times. And so I bring that to you and you were like, no, that's just.
Yeah, but you know what, honestly, when you are struggling for so long, crying so much, and the time is passing, because we, as I said, we were not young. I mean, we are not old, but not even younger. You want to have the results immediately, because especially for women.
And especially when you've been trying for 4 years, I totally get that, right? Because it was 4 years by the time we had that conversation, you know, that you had been trying to conceive. So I completely understand that there would be that, you know, like, come on, let's hurry up and let's get this done. Yeah. But isn't it amazing to be able to really understand and to really be able to go, okay, well, there are different things that I can do, you know, and I think that's the empowering aspect of this whole situation, is the fact that you guys actually, as you said before, you really worked very, very diligently to address all of the different biochemical aspects of what wasn't quite working, to figure out how we could do things differently. And so you did the work, you know. So from my expectation, it fulfilled the expectation I had, which was, of course, we're going to improve sperm health. Of course, we're going to improve DNA fragmentation. Of course, you know, one of the things that I knew was very possible for you as well was to reduce the pain. And so I knew that if nothing else happened, that we would be making an improvement.
There was an improvement
in all of those areas. Yeah, absolutely. So it's amazing to be able to get to that point.
Yes, absolutely. The only thing is, as I said, when you start, you don't know what to expect. And I remember when we started the preparation time with all the changes that we have done, the very first results that we received, especially the Andreas one, were worse than even the beginning.
Yes.
But you
yes.
you were already explained to us, and Alison as well, say that the probably could be a chance that these results could come back worse because we were changing.
I was mad.
But I remember
Yeah.
we were so
Yeah.
frustrated because the time was like passing and we were getting like worse.
I know.
results.
And isn't it interesting? And this is actually one of the things, right? Because I remember that, you know, we always preempt our patients in terms of the first semen analysis result, because the first semen analysis result is always worse. It always is. And the reason is because when you are detoxifying, when you are doing a whole lot of things, especially when you're working deeply with changing the way that the body operates, it is going to get worse before it gets better. And this is why, you know, this is exactly like that. It's like we go backwards before we go forwards. But, you know, at any point within this journey, you can actually stand here, right, which is the lowest point of a highish point. You can stand here and you can look back on your journey and you can go, but hang on, look at how far I've come, really, right? And so being able to have that understanding as well is really important, because then you know, okay, well, this is not the first time that these people have done this. This is not the first time that, you know, I'm not the only person going through this. And so, okay, there's, you know, there could be a chance that this is not a scam after all.
You know, actually, I should tell you that probably after a few months that we jumped into the program, in order to have the insurance that you were not a scam, we started researching if there were like a few other couples in Perth, because we are based in Perth, if there were other couples in Perth doing your same program, in order to, you know, have like a...
Like, hang on a second, I really want to be, I'm not sure. I'm not really not sure. So I really need to clarify this.
It's quite amazing. Of course, I will not tell any names because I can't, but it's quite amazing because after a few months that we started, we met with few couples based here in Perth as well.
In the
program. And we had a good like friendship with especially one couple that I'm still seeing right now. She came 2 days ago here with her baby. And it was amazing because when I got pregnant and we were so happy to share the news, I texted her saying, look, I'm finally pregnant. Can you believe it? She texted me back, I'm pregnant as well. And I couldn't believe that. Because we moved from
this scam. Oh my God. You know, I really need to get better at this.
Yeah, no, it was literally amazing because we moved together from a stage where we were crying, meeting each other, crying and sharing our, like, you know, sadness and frustration and then blah, 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 to the opposite. So we share our joy. Right now, our kids are playing together. It's really amazing. Like,
it's beautiful, isn't it? And it's so nice. One of the things that I love about the secret patient group that we have, you know, and the patient group community that we have, is the family aspect. Because isn't it true? I mean, not only do we stay in each other's lives forever. I mean, you've got one of my babies now. It's just like for real, forever. But you know, it's just one of those beautiful things that you have the support of other people going through the same thing that you are, who are also in alignment with your thinking, right? And it's a wonderful thing. I think that's such a beautiful, beautiful thing.
You know what? This is what I say to Andrea, but actually everyone, since the very beginning that we started with you, for the very first time in our fertility journey, and in my personal one especially, I never felt alone while I was feeling that before. But during your program, with all the supports that you gave us, even with the Facebook community, I was not alone. I could share my story with people that were actually understanding, because this is another problem. Your family, your friends, people like strangers, they can't really understand the situation if they have not been through the same. Okay, so you really feel alone because no one can really understand what you are going through. And
Yeah.
being in a community with many, because there are tons, I was shocked about how many couples are struggling with the same problem, worse, like better than us, but there are so many different. I was sad to know that there are so many people, but at the same time, I was a bit relieved because I was not alone. And I could share my story. We could share our story with many others and cry together, asking tons of questions every day. So literally, this is what we have appreciated the most. The fact that for the first time, someone was really trying to understand us and not leaving us alone in this journey. So
amazing. Oh my God. It's such a blessing. No, look, to me, there is nothing more, I guess, nothing more blessing really than to hear your story in terms of how the difference that what we do has really made to your life. To me, that's really why I do what I do. It's not even about the babies. I'll be honest. I say this all the time. The babies are beautiful. They're great. And, I love them. But really to know that two people have individually and as a couple come to a place of being once more in their own power, because it's so disempowering being in this infertility journey, right? But to be able to bring you back to your center and be able to bring you back to, hey, here's who you really are, and this is your strength, and you can handle this, is to me the most beautiful thing. And to be able to then, come back full circle and have these conversations and be able to hear how it was for you and how it went and the things that you've appreciated as a result. I can't be more grateful. So thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for sharing how, I guess, it unfolded for you, but most importantly, it's so beautiful to see that not only we've got our beautiful special guest, Adeline, who has blessed our lives, all of our lives really, but you guys are stronger, you're more capable, and you not only have completely conquered the fertility challenge, you've nailed it and you've done such a beautiful, beautiful job. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of your family.
Thank you too.
Very special.
I'm a bit emotional right now because literally. Sorry, I couldn't even think about one day I could be a mom. So right now it's really, I feel so grateful and so blessed to have met you. And I know you probably have already heard this million of times, but we really regret the fact that we haven't met you earlier.
But you met me at the right perfect time. So, that's what matters, is that exactly when you needed it and you're ready, we were here, and we are here, and we have been here for the last 20 years and will continue to be here for the next 20. My retirement plan is one day to be doing one of these conversations and just like at the end of it, just kind of like, drop dead on the ground. That's my only retirement plan. So, for me, I intend on being here for much, much, much longer and to be able to help many more thousands of people through, what I know to be such a difficult journey for so many. So thank you so much for sharing. Andrea, is there anything else you would like to leave us? Any last words of wisdom or, anything that you would say to the men watching? Because, sometimes as a man, it can be very isolating. So anything that you want to share?
Well, I believe that, first, again, thanks for having us on this program. This has made a game change for our family. This is the first one. The second is that there's no shame, there's no, I would say, there's no weakness in pinpointing or finding that there's something wrong with your body, or in this case, it's your semen is not right. So it doesn't stand a chance of staying proud and still in front of reality that you are still not getting your family right. So if the end goal is you have a solid family and a future for your family with babies, you have to push through every kind of challenge you're going through. And this will be the best outcome you can have. It will be worst case scenario, you're going to be having an healthy family and a more bonded family.
Yeah, beautiful.
May I
so
add a
grateful.
thing?
Of course, darling.
This is an advice for everyone is listening, but anyway, for everyone that is following you, don't lose hope, because miracle can happen. Just trust Gabriela, even if sometimes she seems maybe saying crazy things, but trust her and work hard, really hard, to get what you dream. And that's it. Thank you so much, Gabriela.
Oh, guys, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And I am so grateful for where we are and totally ready when you're ready for the next one. Okay. So just let me know. All right, my lovelies. I will absolutely be so thrilled to have all of your feelings back into the program, Arianna. So bring it, girl, bring it.
I will.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Big love to you both, and my love to Adeline as well. Talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.
Bye.